So the next part of the presentation is all around the CITB funded Digital Transformation Through Leaders project and what training and funded support is available to you. Before I come to that, I'm just going to tell you very briefly our background and who we are and where we came from. Saffron Grant established the Setting Out for Construction business in 2008, and that was a vehicle really to allow us to deliver the core 5-day setting out and surveying module that we've been doing ever since. And a lot of you will be familiar with that, particularly if you came through a site engineering route at one time. And over the years, we've just developed the business, and we now offer more digitalised courses like engineering, surveying and AutoCAD software training. And we've developed the new curriculum for the CITB for their laser scanning, drones and machine control modules. And we're also an ATO, which allows us to deliver these courses as well. We've trained over 1,000 site engineers across the UK, predominantly in Scotland, but we've also done a lot in London and the South East. We work with universities and colleges to deliver the surveying module, and we support the lecturers with learning materials that comes along with our learning packages. And over the years, we've trained engineers on various types of equipment, so we're equipment agnostic, and that's meant we've always had good relationships with the likes of vendors such as Leica, Topcon, Trimble, LSS and Enforce. But we've always been independent from them, and we're not resellers of any of their products. So in 2019, Digital Construction Skills was born when Setting Out for Construction was commissioned by the CITB to deliver the Digital Transformation Through Leaders project. And that's when we established the Digital Construction Skills business. And I joined the business after working all my life for the likes of Bar Construction, Balfour Beatty and Galliford Try. So more recently I've been in the last 15 years predominantly in the water industry, and I was working two significant pioneering projects for Scottish Water, one being the real-time control project at Leigh Park in Paisley. That was with Scottish Water and IDS, where we delivered a digitalised sewage treatment process. A few years ago I was construction manager for the Tulloch Water Treatment Plant in Oban. So what are the aims of the CITB funded Digital Transformation Through Leaders project then? Well, the aim is to give leaders and managers the skills and confidence they need to drive digital adoption in their business. We provide technical advice in adopting new digital solutions, either in-house or through our extended network of 40 expert partners and vendors. And we help SME construction businesses develop a digital strategy. And we help businesses apply for funding, which can help with the implementation of digital tools, which Saffron has already covered in quite some detail earlier on. So who's the support for? Well, the CITB Assured Company workshops and the training courses are open to all CITB registered companies, which means they're all free at the point of access, and as well as that, you can still claim the £30 grant levy for each delegate who attends. We've got in-depth support for construction, which we have aimed specifically at the Tier 2 and Tier 3 contractors who don't have their own, generally speaking, don't have their own digital construction team, nor do they have the time to work on their business, nor do they have a big IT support network or infrastructure. So we've specifically targeted them to try and support them. So we've got funding support available to 50 companies, which is equivalent to 20 hours consultation and workshop support. And the fully funded support is available until April 2022. So what are the fully funded CITB training courses that we've created then? Well, we've created a suite of 5 short one-day courses which cover most aspects of digital construction. And these are getting started with digital construction and taking digital construction to the next level. I'm going to talk about them in a little bit of detail in the next couple of slides. But then you've got 3 specialist courses then, one on behavioural change, one on legal and contractual, and one on HR and digital construction. So I'm only going to talk about in this presentation the first 2 courses very, very briefly. Who are they for and what do they do? First of all, the Getting Started with Digital Construction workshop. It's for anyone really involved in the construction team, business unit or an SME business, and we have written it to be completely jargon free. It's for technical and non-technical staff. And we always start the focal point on the workshop as focus on what specific problems you're trying to solve in your business or your team or your project. And what we do is we explore the different digital tools and technology that are related to construction and typically found in the construction ecosystem. And we work out which ones are relevant to you. Now, I better just at this point just define what we mean by digital tools. So we define digital tools as systems, processes, solutions and products that can improve efficiency, productivity, profitability and performance. So for example, we have digital tools for surveying, setting out, engineering, utility mapping. And we can help people learn about planning and tracking software tools, as well as those tools that can help with compliance, training, HR and even mental health support. So through the workshop, we're always looking at the problem and look at the tools that could solve the issue. And we work out what the barriers, risks and challenges might be and how these might be overcome in the context of your situation. And again, the whole idea is for the delegate to go away with an individual action plan, or maybe if it's a group of you together, a project action plan or a team action plan. But we always make it relevant and we always make it personal to that delegate. So what do we cover in the second course, taking digital construction to the next level? Well, again, because these are standalone training courses and workshops, our starting point is always focusing on the problems that you're trying to solve. But in the next level course, we don't really look at the digital tools aspect of it. We're actually just really looking at more of the common definitions associated with digital construction. So we'll go into a bit more of the definitions, what you need to know. So we start talking about things like digitalization, which are two very distinct and different processes. And if you don't know the difference, maybe you should look into going on this course. There's also things like the project life cycle, common data environment, stuff like what does interoperability mean, APIs, and what's digital twins. We talk about the organisational factors, and we also look at what else you need to think about when you're making your digital strategy and action plan, and what factors you need to consider when making a business case for a digital solution. You know, what would a decision maker in your organisation be looking for when it comes to when you come forward to put forth a case for digital. So in terms of the course delivery, what options do you have available? Well, these courses provide opportunities for CITB registered businesses to learn the basics of digital construction, and they can do it at scale in a very flexible way at almost zero cost. That's how we've designed the courses. I'm designing them to be either one-day online or classroom workshops. And we all know that's a bit of a challenge in the times we're in these days. And the reality is that one day of training is too much time out for many in the industry, particularly for things that are not deemed critical. So we've also developed them to be done in chunks of 1 and 2 hour modules. So that's either blended or distance learning with an optional 1 hour online tutorial support session from ourselves and our vendor partners who are on hand to provide assistance and support and to work through some of the group exercises that we do in the workshops, or even just to offer some support and advice of if you're selecting a digital tool. So there you have it. That's just a bit of a map of how the CITB registered support works. You've got your getting started with digital construction workshops. We've also designed the e-learning, which I'll talk about next, to complement the workshops, which are a bit of a knowledge base to complement the 2 workshops that we've got. The output of that then is you generate your team and action plans from the workshops, and then you could either go and do some more specialist e-learning and further training courses, which are the 3 courses that I haven't touched on today. And once you've completed the getting started and the next level CITB courses, you can then go on and do the digital champion training, which is a 1-day course, and the become a digital skills trainer, which is a further 1-day course. Here's a map of the tier 2 fully funded support for CITB registered companies. Just starts with booking a 15-minute call with myself, and you can go through all the workshops again, and we go into some deep dives there for decision makers. Again, we generate team and personal action plans, and then we follow on with 8 hours digital construction consultation support. And again, as I said before, that's available to only 50 SME companies only. So I'll just give you a few examples of how the 8 hours digital construction support works for SME businesses. Helps you research into digital tools and solutions you've identified either in your workshop discussions, or maybe you've tried a few demos and you're not sure and you want to test the water with other solutions. We can help you with that. We can help you put your learning and action plans into context and help you develop a digital strategy. We can also help you review and collate all your existing information management processes. What do you want to get digitalized? What's the priority for you? Yeah, we can also help you set up demos with relevant and trusted tech partners and make some tech partner introductions to you. We can help you set up pilot demonstrator projects. We've got a lot of tech partners who are willing to try new technologies out with you. We also can help you prioritize your personal and team action plans. What can you do now and what do you need to map out for the future? And you'll always have access to our DCS resources. I haven't touched on it today, but we've got loads of useful webinars and podcast interviews and Ask the Panel webinars that we've done with a lot of leading experts and pioneers in the industry. And we can also help coach and mentor any digital champions, just to help them through the process. Okay, I mentioned in the map there earlier on that there's an e-learning version of these courses. So you've got the e-learning version of getting started with digital construction, taken to the next level, etc., etc. And I would say these are very useful resources for the likes of clients and contractors, and further education lecturers and students and graduates. But we do think it's simply a good way of getting a breadth of knowledge so that you've got a wider appreciation of the subject. And it's a good starting point for many people to jump off of. Each e-learning module takes about 90 minutes to 2 hours to complete. So just to finish off and give you a flavour of what's contained in the e-learning modules, I've taken a couple of the case studies that we've used to give the learning a bit of context and what do we mean by digital transformation and how we use digital tools in the context of construction. And the ones I've picked out are particularly related to civil engineering here. This one's related to the Cat 4, the GCAT 4, where Bar Hale, East Anglia, changed their whole Cat and Jenny fleet over to the GCAT 4, which made them to be able to be data enabled, and what that meant for them. But it's not included in this clip here, but the outcome of that was there was a reduction in service strikes by 40% in 2019 to 2020 for Bar Hale. And I think you'll agree that's a staggering reduction by any measure. So, we'll just hear what Andy's got to say now.
In terms of use of digital tools, we've obviously excavating around underground services is one of our sort of primary risk areas as a business, and probably aligned to sort of our approach around being a bit more proactive and using digital technology to benefit our sort of general monitoring and remote monitoring. We decided to transfer our existing Cat 4 fleet to the GCAT 4, which enables us to sort of monitor data from this sort of technology to the cloud, and then able to sort of monitor that sort of technology sort of remotely in terms of how the equipment is sort of being used in the field, which we've sort of found to be of a real benefit. So it's really the transition of the old Cat fleet to the GCAT 4 and then utilising that sort of digital data to our sort of benefit, really. I suppose in terms of the key benefits for our organisation, since we've made that move, it sort of provides us with sort of real-time use of the equipment in the field, which we didn't have previously, and we're able to sort of determine how well the equipment's being used in all of the various sort of modes, so avoidance, power, Jenny, radio modes, by our service coordinators and also by our sort of Black Cat gangers who sort of lead each of our sort of digging gangs. It's also provided us with a duration of how long the equipment's used in each of the various modes as well, which we're able to sort of develop into a sort of dashboard, a red, amber, green sort of dashboard. It also allows us to sort of look at using our assessors in the field, so to have more coaching sessions with the gangers in the field, so areas where potentially we feel they could improve some of their skill sets, which we're seeing from the data that we receive. We're able to then take that back out into the field and have more one-to-one focused sessions with the gangers, in areas that they potentially could improve.
So in this next case study, you'll hear from Mark Lawton, Head of Surveying and GIS at Skanska UK, on the A14 Cambridge to Huntington project, which was a fairly substantial project, a £1 billion motorway job down south. And what did they do? They invested in their supply chain to fit machine control technology. So let's see what they say about making the business case for that.
There was a cost there as well, where some of the people that saw the advantages of it being safer, less people around the machines, more efficient because they were doing less passes like people talked about, and greener because you're burning less carbon. But there were still people having arguments about, well, I can get an engineer to pin this. So just get this thought into your head. Is it a contractor, a supplier, like aggregated industries, turn up with their equipment of machines, and we would have to give them £100,000 to put these new devices on top. If I was going to pin the A14 and support that machine, I would need 3 engineers, so I'd call that roughly 30 grand a piece, or at 90 grand, I'd have to get 3 vans. I'd have 3 elements of risk, and then I'd need 3 instruments. Even in 1 year, I'd spent that £100,000 and not had the benefit of reducing people, being efficient, and being greener. So straight away, it makes common sense. So the supply chain understand this straight away, that they're getting better quality. The penny's dropped with them already. The engaging part is me mandating it in Highways England. So there's a statement in Raising the Bar that says, Highways England sites, you must use 3D machine control for all earthworks operations unless you have a specific business case. And this is like a policeman stopping you and asking you why you haven't got your seatbelt on. In the past, you could have a good excuse, but now you've got to have a really good reason for not doing this.
And the last case study I'm just going to touch on is back closer to home. It's Charlie Shearer, a Tough Construction engineering manager there, who attended our first Getting Started with Digital Construction course. He came up with the idea of using machine control for small groundworks projects. So let's hear what Alan Penrose from our partner Sunbelt Rentals, how they worked and how they done that together on the project.
A great example that I've just had with one of our customers is a contractor I work very closely with in Tough Construction. They've been using machine control in dozers for years now, and about a month ago, Charlie, who heads up their digital construction team, basically came to us and said, I want to use machine control in my excavators to dig foundations. These are house plot foundations. I know it can be done, but where do I get started with it? And he was basically looking to us for a bit of support. So together we came up with a plan that involved what system will best suit the job, how to manage the data in terms of what's actually the most efficient way to draw the model, to actually draw the foundations so that it is a seamless flow from office to field. And also at the pinnacle, making sure it is as simple as possible for the excavator driver to use, as they're probably new to the technology. So we did some training for the driver and the engineer involved, and 1 month on, his driver can get in his excavator in the morning. He drives to a plot that doesn't exist yet on the ground and digs the foundation to level. He can create his own offsets, create different layers that need to be put in, and it's just him and his banksman out there working away. Although the driver has my phone number and I'm only a phone call away, he doesn't have to call because they went about it the right way. Firstly, they obviously knew who were the people they could ask, and basically they asked. Training-wise, we focus our training, machine control training courses, on what the engineer or driver will actually be faced with on site. and it can be a beginner or a more advanced driving course, so a driver doesn't have to do all the learning on the job. And I know this is a type of training that you, Saffron, and Gail preach with your setting out for construction courses too. It's focusing on the end users.
So I'm just going to wrap up now before the Q&A. What is the lessons we've learned so far then? So, through the project, technology applied thoughtfully and carefully can have a transformative effect on health and safety performance, how we learn, train, coach and communicate, how we work. It's more becoming our engineers as data managers, and how do we address that, the skills gap there. It can obviously have a transformative effect on quality performance, because if you're measuring, you should be improving. Productivity is the same. Definitely can help with productivity and efficiencies and accuracy. And more importantly, it's going to help us get on the road to net zero, because if we're more productive, we're more efficient, we're more accurate, we're wasting less, and we're not pushing bits of paper about, it's only going to get us on the right road to net zero. So I think the case for digital is absolutely compelling. And I think really the key message for me, Ray, is digital construction is not just for the digital guys, the IT guys, or even the consultants. Everyone has a role to play. Everyone is going to be affected by digital transformation, and everyone needs to know the basics and how it relates to them and why it's important to their business. Why are you doing this digital transformation? Why is everyone banging on about BIM and net zero and all the rest of it? And again, of course, the challenge for us has been, in recent times, it's been the most challenging period that we've known in modern times, through COVID, and with Brexit and all the rest of it. And it's difficult to get digital on the agenda, with materials and skill shortages are still the high priority. But really, we really should be incorporating digital into this now as part of the COVID recovery plan, and that's certainly the intention of the Scottish Government's roadmap for the future anyway. And just to reiterate, there is funding and there is support available. And for our project, there's no application process, there's no forms to fill in, and it's on a first come, first served basis. So I'm going to leave the final word to Phil Languish, MD of Applications and CAD, and why we should be really taking digital tools very seriously.
If I were to name a CAD package, it would probably be AutoCAD or Civil 3D. That's generally where most people perceive, everyone should be working. But for the same reason that you don't play around a golf with a spoon, you shouldn't be using that to do these particular tasks. I've heard so to answer your question, how do you get the point across? If people don't want to change, then they won't. People don't like change. But what generally makes people think twice is when they see something done faster, to a higher standard, and with a lot less effort. And that generally, you have to basically take that horse to the trough and make him drink. And the only way of doing that is to sit on a demo, a bit like we're doing here, but you'd have all the staff, all the members, all the decision makers, the people with the purse strings, show them like, here's how you're currently doing it, and this is it's taking X long to do it, and then this is how we could do it. And the number of times that I've had people like laughing, joking, swearing, just walking out the room because they've realised they've just spent 2 days doing something we can do in literally 2 seconds. Sometimes it's that dramatic.
So we're going to go on to the Q&A next. That's myself and Saffron. Take any of your questions.